The topic or question that I chose is how can we know that current knowledge is an improvement on past knowledge? And further breaking this down, meaning our current knowledge would mean a clear understanding of the topic or more knowledge about it or any knowledge about it at all. And for the past knowledge, what that would basically look like is a less clear understanding or not knowing much about it or not having any knowledge about the topic at all. Next is my topic, which is Egyptology. And Egyptology actually really relates back to the question or topic because in Egyptology, we're constantly gaining new information through discoveries, and we're always updating our knowledge or technology or our resources that we use or that archaeologists use. The subject is history, and my research question is, how did the festivals of Osiris and Sokar contribute to the rise of Abydos during the Middle Kingdom period? And to prove the relation of my topic to the question, I'll be talking about Osiris and some of the temples or the temple that was discovered or among, sorry, among the temples. I'll be talking about one of them in Abydos. I'll also be talking about the Middle Kingdom period and the Stela of Ekenofrit. So next is the Middle Kingdom period. And basically, this was also known as the period of reunification because this is when Upper and Lower Egypt reunified. And this was from 2030 to 1650 BC. It was the shortest of the three periods. And the three periods were the Old Kingdom, Middle Kingdom, and the New Kingdom. And it lasted less than 400 years. The dynasties are subdivided into the 11th, 12th, and 13th. It's not very clear as to how the Middle Kingdom ended because of the poor preservation of the sites. Now, in relation to the question or topic, basically, if we were able to gain this knowledge, it would definitely be better than the knowledge that we have now, considering that it's very, very little. So honestly, anything would really, not anything, but basically anything that would better or help us get a better understanding of what exactly happened, or if we were able to, find out what happened. And basically, it's very possible because in archaeology, the technology that we use is constantly modernizing and being updated. So, for example, we might have a better opportunity now rather than, for example, like 10 years ago, or even 5 years ago, we might have a better chance at understanding what happened. Next is the discovery of the Temple of Seti. This was discovered by Margaret A. Murray in 1903, and it was excavated between 1911 and 1926. This is one of the main historical sites in Abydos. It's extremely significant because it's such a fine example of ancient Egyptian art. By looking at it, Egyptians were able to have a clear understanding of spirituality and afterlife rituals. And going back to this being such a excellent example of ancient Egyptian art, that's because it was very well preserved and it was pretty much untouched because you can still see how pigmented it is. And I actually have this on the presentation. You can see how pigmented it is and how clear it is. And basically, how this would relate back to the question or topic is that basically through the walls of of the Temple of Seti the First, Egyptologists were able to get a way better understanding of spirituality and afterlife rituals because there were many walls on the Temple of Seti that uh, depicted afterlife rituals, like the weighing of the heart, for example. And how this actually relates back to my first question is that the, the sorry, the Temple of Seti the First being built in Abydos is an example, a prime example of how the building of temples and chapels contributed to the rise of Osirian worship and further contributing to the rise of Abydos, because Seti built this in relation to the festival of Osiris being held there and the increased popularity that Osiris brought with him. And lastly is the Stela of Ikhnofret. Some background information about this is that a stela is a rectangular wooden slab or stone with inscriptions or pictorial images, and they vary in function besides a grave marker in Abydos, as we've seen, or you may have not, but there are thousands of them in Abydos, and when the ancient Egyptians would have their pilgrimage to Abydos to see the festival of Osiris and Topher during the month of Khoiak, they would plant grave markers or stelas to kind of have like a internal or closer experience in the festival or being closer to Osiris in the festival. And basically the use outside of it being a grave marker was that it was a royal stela and it recorded the king's accomplishments and the official decrees. It's a very important source of historical data because, again, it gives us a clear understanding of what was happening in the government and even in rituals, which is basically what the Stela of Ikhnofret was. It was a extremely important piece of evidence for the festival of Osiris during the month of Khoiak, and the stela gives almost a complete textual description of the procession before the Ptolemaic period, which was from 305 to 30 BC. And on the stela, it describes the use of 3 barcas, which was basically used to ferry the dead in their journey to the afterlife. And basically, why this piece is so important is because through this, we are able to have a much clearer understanding and clearer knowledge about the Festival of Osiris and its processions and some of the materials that was used during the festival. And last is sources. Thank you so much for listening.